let's look what happens when you add a constant number, a regular number, to every single value in a list, in a distribution. So, for example, we have 5 students who measured their height. They're 5.25, 5.5, 5.5, 6, and 6.25 feet tall. So we want to find the following things. Let's start with our 5 number summary. Well, so they're all in order for us, and the middle number, our median, is then going to be the middle number of this list, 5.5. The min is 5.25, and the max is 6.25. The quarter 1 and quarter 3 are a little bit tricky because it's going to be the average of these two numbers for quarter 1 and the average of these two numbers for quarter 3. So just to show you how you do that, you add the two numbers together and divide by 2. 5.25 plus 5.5, you get that number and you divide it by 2. Otherwise, if you can do that in your head, what you're looking for is the number that's exactly halfway in between these two. In this case is 5.375. So 5.3, I'll round it out to 5.38. And then the same thing is going to happen over here. 6 plus 6.25, and I will just let you know that that's going to come out to 6.13 if we round it off. So now we have our 5 number summary. Our median is just 5.5. Our range from the highest to the lowest, 6.25 to 5.25, is 1. Exactly 1 between those two. The IQR, I'm skipping the mean intentionally, the IQR from here, quarter 3 to quarter 1, if you're unable to do that one in your head, it's going to be 6.13 minus 5.38, and it's come out to 0.75. So 0.75 is the IQR. The mean now, if we put these numbers into our calculator, and I'm going to put them into my stat list because I'm going to need to do standard deviation later too. So I'm going to put it into my stat list. In my case, I need to clear out the old data, so I'm going to go up to L1 and click clear and press enter. And I'll type in all of my new values. And if numbers repeat, you have to type those in too. So in my case, I have 5.5 and 5.5. I type that number in twice because it occurs twice. You need to make sure you do that. And after you've typed in all 5 numbers into that stat list in whatever calculator you have, there'll be some place where you can go, in my case going to the 1var statistics and pressing enter again, that will allow you to generate some of these numbers, some of these values here. So I'll pull this down here just to make it easier to look at. The mean is 5.7 and the standard deviation is 0.41. So now, the next question says, now imagine that every student stands on a 2-foot tall stool, adding 2 feet to everyone's height. What's the new distribution going to be? The distribution is just this list here. So what happens to this list if we add 2 to every number? Well, 5.25 becomes 7.25. And 5.5 becomes 7.5. 7.5 again. 6 becomes 8. And 6.25 becomes 8.25. So you write out all 5 of those numbers, adding 2 to each one of them. And then we have to do all this stuff again. So 5 number summary, we find our middle value, we figure out what's halfway in between here for our quartiles, and then we have our max and min. So median is 7.5, max is 8.25, our min is 7.25. If we add 7.25 and 7.5 together and then divide them by 2, because there's 2 numbers, it's going to come out to, just like very similar to what we had before, 7.38 if we round it off. do our third quartile, we need to take this 8 right here and add it to this 8.25, 16.25, divide that by 2, and we'll get 8.13 when we round that off. If you need your calculator to do that, that's absolutely fine. The median, we already know that, it's 7.5. The range is the highest to the lowest, so 8.25 minus 7.25, well, that's just going to be 1. The IQR is this 8.13 to 7.38. And again, that one's a little bit tricky, so let's use our calculator to do that one. 8.13 minus 7.38. And that, like above, will come out to 0.75. The standard deviation, well, and the mean, those are calculator ones again. So we're going to go back to our list in our calculator, and we're going to enter in our 5 new numbers. So we have 7.25, 7.5, 7.5 again, 8, and 8.25. Again, knowing that every calculator is going to be a little bit different for this. I want to see my one variable statistics, so I'm going to go to Calc in 1var stats. And when I get that, I'll drag that in just to see my numbers. So my X bar, my mean, is 7.7, it says. And my standard deviation, my sigma x, is 0.37 when rounded off. As I'm doing this, I actually just realized that I had made a mistake above. I went back and checked my calculator. I had read from Sx instead of reading from sigma x. And if I had read from sigma x above in the problem above, I would get 0.37 for my standard deviation. So don't read from Sx. Don't get confused like I just did. So in conclusion, when you add a constant, when you add a number like 2 to every number in a distribution, what are the things that change? The median changed. It went up by 2. The mean changed. It went up by 2. So the center, the mean and median are measures of center. So the center changes by adding 2. So if we add 2 to every number, then the center will go up 2. If we subtract 4 from every number, the center, both mean and median, will go down 4. What you'll notice is that nothing else changes. The range was 1 in both cases. The IQR was 0.75 in both cases. The standard deviation, once I did it correctly, was 0.37 in both cases. Those values never change when you're adding the number to every value in a distribution.